Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to your Beyond the Summit Dota 2 World Tour action for today. I am LD, joining me is godz. We are casting Game 1 of MUFC versus DK. And godz, the last time I saw these two teams face off was in Pro Dota 2. Burning was not looking particularly sharp, neither was the rest of DK. And actually, MUFC took that in rather convincing fashion. Of course, the last time Burning has been seen for a lot of people is its Gosu Monthly Madness, where I forget if it was 800 or 900 gold per minute on anti-mage, but he was back to his old ways, so we'll have to see if MUFC can deal with him.
I logged on to the next day and I had AC and numerous people saying to me, like, did you see Burning's DK, Burning's, what am I talking about? Burning's anti-mage for DK, and it was just, when I watched that replay, I was impressed. I have to say, DK were playing well, they've been struggling a bit as of late, and MUFC are a team who are punished teams who aren't in good form. MUFC are some very, very talented players. These are some of the 5 best players in Southeast Asia, and they are as good as the Chinese players. The thing that MUFC sometimes falls short, to me at least, is in their strategizing, is in their bans and picks, and just their execution of a strategy to win the game. But as far as raw skill goes, these guys have it.
Yeah, and DK is such a good team at, punishing those mistakes, forcing you into them, playing very defensively when they need to, and when they want to be aggressive, they can. They love to run that hard carry on Burning. Whether it's something like a Morphling and Anti-Mage, both of those in the pool so far, and well, nowadays, guys, we just don't see them get banned. I mean, once in a while you'll see Morphling get banned, especially if you're up against a team that's really strong with that Morphling, and maybe in that second stage, but to see him banned in the first stage is almost unheard of. It means if DK want to run the hard carry, it may not be their first pick, but they will have their choice at some point in the draft, and for now, it is mostly pushing heroes and gankers getting the bans. One hero that's in the pool that we should keep our eyes on is that Panda Brewmaster. Great team fighter, definitely a hero that both of these teams love to run.
Yeah, and as far as MUFC goes pick-wise, I'm casting these guys basically since I started casting a bit over a year ago, and this is probably the team I've casted more games of than almost anyone. Them in Orange I've casted so many games of. I feel like I know this team left, right, and center at times, but they love their Windrunner. I don't think it's a hero they'll straight away go in first pick. They also love their Enchantress, playing that on Ling. They'll often put him in the jungle. They'll go for it. Their initial strategy was always just have a dual roamer, Enchantress plus VS, and then go for sort of 3 strong solos, or at least sort of a semi-carry that can sort of solo the safe lane like a Slaughter. They love the Obsidian Destroyer as well. It's a hero they'll often put in the mid lane on Nick. They've a team that just love having those 2 roaming supports and try and control the game using them, and then just getting their solos nice and farmed. And as far as solos go, they like ones that can win their lane, like the Windrunner. They'll play the Brood every now and then, and they actually are going to go for a first pick Shadow Demon. This surprises me. I don't think I've seen many teams first pick Shadow Demon. It's a top pick. It's one of the favored support heroes, but not often being first picked.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they're setting up for a carry that's really countered by the Shadow Demon. He's good against pretty much every carry, but especially good against Anti-Mage and Morphling. You get the Anti-Mage's Mana Burn, you get the Morphling's high stats working to your advantage. So that's certainly an option for them. It is very unusual. Maybe they know something about DK that we do not. I mean, certainly, like you said, this is a hero teams will often pick, maybe in the second or third slot, but to see it as one pick is very unusual. Okay, well, with all that being said, what's still in the pool? Beastmaster is available, great pushing hero, great off-lane hero. If you want to run him, you can also put him solo mid. Lone Druid, a very strong pushing hero as well. I'll throw the Dragonite into the mix, and one hero that MUFC has been known to run, and they're really the only team in Dota 2 that's been doing this at all, is Batrider. So that's something to keep an eye on. Will they go for it this game? You mentioned strong solo heroes that want that early farm. If Batrider gets it, he can be an absolute terror. If he doesn't, often falls really short. So we'll have to see where they go. I guess Clinks is the other hero to keep an eye on. It's something MUFC love to run. Very good ganker. Aggressive if you want him to be, and a dominant solo as well. So for the moment, both teams really taking their time with this draft. DK used up a good chunk of their bonus time. In fact, they're down to 45 seconds. Just shows you how thoughtful they're being about these first couple picks.
Well, I think it comes down to, I mean, as far as something that MUFC know that we also know, is that DK love their anti-mage. That's a hero that they have had great success with on Burning. It's not the only hero they've had success with. They'll pick up the Morphling every now and then. They'll pick up some other carry options, but they do love their anti-mage, and that's something that the first pick Shadow Demon confused them by. Not to mention just confuse them, because it's the first pick Shadow Demon. So they retaliate with a Rubik for now. So picking up some sort of utility of their own. It's either a support or potentially a solo mid hero. It does fit both those 2 roles, but it's just something that doesn't really tip their hand all too much. I mean, they could go for something like a Windrunner as well if they want to get some strong lane heroes, but they go for a Shadow Shaman. So there's another hero that can fit into a solo role, can fit into that support role. A lot of these Chinese teams will run that Shadow Shaman as sort of a safe lane support, just having him use those creep balls to get a bit of farm, get a bit of XP, making him fit into many, many different lineups, especially that Dire side. It's one of the noticeable differences between the Ray and Dire. Dire have so many options to actually pull in those neutral camps at the top lane, which does allow them to pick some of these more farm and item dependent heroes as supports like the Shadow Shaman. Often you see something like a Lion, and you often see them having sort of a semi-jungle support hero.
Well, we saw that Lion yesterday with ehome. Not going to spoil that match, but guys, if you have not watched that Game 3 between ehome and Complexity yet, go check that out as soon as today's cast is done. That was a real treat. But yeah, I mean, the support line's certainly an option if they want to run. Shadow Shaman can fit into that similar role. Gives you a bit more push, and, well, this is a typical MUFC pickup here. The Night Stalker, you mentioned the Enchantress, probably will be played by lane. A lot of offensive capabilities here. Between the Night Stalker, the Shadow Demon, and the Enchantress Heal, MUFC can be deceptively hard to pick off here. That being said, DK has a lot of lockdown already. Telekinesis, you've got the Shackles as well as the Hex. But I feel like this is, for MUFC, this is a lineup so far where they want to get those kills. Maybe not at the first couple of minutes, but definitely in that first nighttime. At DK, go for a Brewmaster, a hero they love to play. It gives them that great mid-game presence, really frees up the map. Actually, the last time the MUFC and DK played, Burning played the Panda, and it was a farming Panda, but it just wasn't enough in the late game. So will he play it? Will we see him on the hard carry? If he wants to do the hard carry, it's an option now for godz, but I'm curious. Maybe this will be a Burning Panda.
Yeah, I mean, now that you mentioned it, I actually remember that game more vividly now with MUFC winning. And it's something where they don't actually have to go the route where they pick up a hard carry. They could pick up something like a Queen of Pain and play it as a semi-carry. They have got a couple different options, especially if they're not expecting MUFC to go for a hard carry of their own, or if they just want to go for that sort of mid-game strong push. Have Rubik go for the mech. You've got the Serpent Wards. You've got Brewmaster for the initiation. That's really what you need. A great initiator like Brewmaster to actually break on through, go up the ramp and get those tier 3 towers. A hero like Brewmaster is great for doing that. So that's a definite possibility here, and we do see MUFC banning out another sort of strong utility hero that could buy the mech, the pipe, and help in that sort of mid-game stage. So they're going to ban out the Windrunner. MUFC with this Enchantress jungle, they're all about the kills. They're not going for that Vengeful Spirit, but I think that's because the dual jungle strategy has been phased out because the heroes in the jungle just don't get the levels they need. So they're probably going to be running a dual lane with the Shadow Demon to have the Enchantress in the jungle by herself. The Shadow Demon can always join up before there's an actual smoke gank attempt, but for the most part, I don't think they'll go for a dual jungle here. And we'll see what MUFC want to get. The OD still an option. That's a hero. I always feel MUFC with these 4th and 5th picks, they're kind of just always considering, do we pick an OD here? Does it work against that draft? Because they always do really well when they get that OD into Nick's hands, as long as it can get the farm it needs.
Well, it could be tough. It could be a tough game for an OD. You're up against a lot of lockdown. I mean, I started to mention it with the Rubik, the Shadow Shaman. Now you throw a Panda into the mix, and we're only 3 picks into the draft, but I am counting 1, 2, 3, 4 disables / CC, and that's without counting the Panda ult. Then you've got the Boulder Toss, as well as the Cyclone. So that makes 6, just in the hands of 3 heroes. That's a lot, plus anything Rubik steals on top of it. And OD is a hero who's got some defensive capabilities, of course, with Astral Imprisonment, as well as Disruption from the Shadow Demon helping him out. But he's still a hero that's squishy, that can be burst down, that can be picked off. So if they want to go for him, they have to protect him. And, well, you made a great point. It's probably not going to be a double jungle. And the reason we can tell this is because they have a Night Stalker. And he's an okay mid if he's up against something like a Panda 1v1. He'll be fine. But if he lanes against any of these other heroes, he's going to struggle a bit in terms of the harassment, in terms of the rune control, especially before that first nighttime. So I think it will be a Night Stalker that's dual laning, whether it's mid or in a side lane. And, well, it looks like MUFC probably need an off lane. They could run an offensive tri-lane, though. It's something we've seen before. That Shadow Demon, Night Stalker, Enchantress, it's pretty potent early on.
Yeah, and I think that's something that could cause a lot of problems for whoever DK put in that top lane, and especially if they're expecting something like an Antimage to come from DK a bit later on. It's a viable pick. I mean, right now with the Brewmaster there, they're probably thinking Brewmaster's going mid or top, unless they see DK pick up the Lich or some hero that can control the bottom lane to combo with the Brewmaster. But MUFC, both these teams have plenty of options with the way they want to lane this, and that's where all the ways the mind games come in, where you think your opponent's going to lane. Because if you could win the laning stage, win at least 2 or 3 of those lanes, Templar Assassin MUFC, this hero has suddenly become fairly popular. A few teams have been pulling him out, and that is a hero, I guess it will be Nick probably playing it, maybe even TFG. We'll see who's going to be on that, but probably in that solo mid lane. And DK's immediate reaction, pick up the Venomancer. There's some damage over time to break the refraction, but for the most part, I feel the disables from Rubik as well as Shadow Shaman will be pretty useful for dealing with that Templar Assassin, although they are two squishy heroes. So Templar Assassin will want to get up the blink, get a BKB later on, whether it's straight BKB or Desolating Infant BKB. Getting some immunity is going to be crucial here. But you've got the Night Stalker. That's a hero who can run in and cause a lot of problems as well, creating space for Templar Assassin.
Yeah, creating space, also tanking it up so she can do the damage and come in a bit later. You know, you mentioned the damage over time. Another great way to deal with it is those Serpent Wards. Sure, it's a long cooldown, but every single one of those will proc a single refraction charge. So basically one volley from the wards, and you go from full refraction charges to being entirely out. So if he's able to drop them correctly, you can look to pick that Templar Assassin off. That being said, I mean, this is a game where Templar Assassin could really shine. Look at DK right now. They are all very squishy. Aside from that Panda, they've got a lot of lockdown. But, you know, if she gets a good rune, if she catches them out in these smaller scale engagements, she's going to have a great time. The same for the Night Stalker. And we're already seeing how MUFC want to play. They have an Enchantress, a jungler who, yes, she can farm, but you really, you know, normally you want to be aggressive early, whether it's going for kills or just applying pressure to lanes, looking to push down towers. Once that mid game hits, Templar Assassin, Night Stalker, great ganking heroes, not the best team fighters unless they have an advantage. So that is the way MUFC want to play this. And, well, there you see why how the Shadow Demon's going to fit in. If they want to go for that Sunstrike Invoker, they have the setup. Either way, it gives them a little bit of more burst damage, some crowd control if it's a Wex Invoker. And MUFC, it's a pretty aggressive lineup for them. Not a whole lot of team fight aside from the Invoker, but a lot of burst damage potential.
Yeah, they have the potential to really steamroll through these lanes, but they're going to have to get the right matchups. And I feel they don't have too many options. I mean, with Templar Assassin and Invoker as two solos, neither of them can really go into that top lane. So they're going to be looking at, indeed. They're going to be looking at Invoker and Templar Assassin and soloing the mid and bottom lanes with maybe a tri-lane Enchantress at top, but Broodmother, DK have picked it up last, and, well,
how are they going to deal with it?
Really got? They're going to have to put at least, they're going to have to dual lane bottom with Shadow Demon, Night Stalker or something, I feel, or at least have two heroes against the Brood. And then just look to do what a lot of teams... You can verse Brood without having the AoE and without having sort of something that can beat it in lane if you've got a dual lane or a tri-lane and have sentry wards. But that means who do they send top? They haven't really got anyone who can go into that top lane. Assuming Brood's going bottom, which for DK, I mean, makes perfect sense. Who do you put against Brood other than 2 or 3 heroes? And then DK should win both mid and top lanes. So I feel this Brood pick for DK is just maybe something that MUFC are not ready to deal with, and they may have been drafted into a bit of a corner here.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's a masterful pick, but it could turn out to be one. That is certainly a possibility. RTK will be handling the Brood. Looks like he is headed to the offlane. Long DD playing that support Shadow Shaman. Sentry Ward's already picked up, probably to help deal with any aggressiveness by the Enchantress, or to D-ward the full camp. Burning going to be playing that Farming Panda tucked away in the safe lane. Zippo will be tri-laning to start, probably roaming at some point. Super going solo mid, as he always does, and he'll be playing the Rubik. And it looks like he's going solo mid. Yeah, I think he's saving a little gold. Probably going to rush the bottle. And, well, this is something we've seen. I forget which team it was, but another Chinese team ran this to great success. Was it LGD? I want to say it was. But it seems like the Chinese are experimenting a bit with the solo mid Rubik, and it's been working out for them.
Yeah, it seems to be pretty nice here. And for me, MUFC, they've got TFG on this solo top Invoker. He's going to have a very, very tough time. They're going to immediately put down a lane ward by the looks of things. Mid lane, you have got the Templar Assassin being played by NN, who is in fact that. I'm not actually sure. I'm going to have to check who all these names are first. We've got Sharky playing the Night Stalker at bottom, Net playing the support Shadow Demon, Ling, as always, on those micro-intensive heroes, playing the Enchantress. So I guess that means it's Nick or Silvercross playing the Templar Assassin at mid. And yeah, we've got Invoker at top. I feel that's probably the big talking point here. It's something that was done a while ago. You'd go for the Quads, Wex, Invoker, put him at top. You'd go Boots first often and go straight Wex, so you have incredible movement speed to escape ganks. But up against a tri-lane with a lane ward, and they haven't blocked the pull, nor can they because of the Sentry Wards and Venomancer. This Invoker, I feel, is going to be level 1 for quite a long time. They're going to have one hero just harassing him and one hero maybe using the pulls, unless they decide Venomancer can just help out maybe mid lane, dominate the Templar Assassin with a bit of a dual lane here. But I feel MUFC are going to lose 2 lanes quite badly here, and bottom lane Brood should get some XP.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Even you drop the Sentry Ward, if Net ever tries to go to pull or goes to deny some creeps, RTK is going to creep on in. And of course, you can't put Sentry Wards everywhere. Plus, there's the gold investment to consider. Again, Net would like to be pulling, as we see Long DD already doing some pulling. He knows this Panda doesn't really need help. because Invoker has to be careful. Well, speaking of pulling, this is one thing TFG could try and do. Bit of a cheeky play, but he actually looks like he stacked the camp to start, and no, he actually missed the stack, or maybe he was trying to pull. Either way, not going to get it off the first time, and the ward here is spotting everything out. So if the Venomancer ever wants to rotate up there, if the Shadow Shaman walks in, it's going to be an issue. And Brood is taking some harassment. Second Sentry Ward used Disruption to follow. Just trading a little harassment there. Unfortunately, Disruption is not that great at harassing melee heroes because the illusions are not going to be able to stay on that target without additional slows or stuns. So just one auto attack from each. Brood walks away, and already, well, this is the X factor for the mid lane. Look at Birdie just melting to that tornado. It could make a difference here and maybe give Templar a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, the bottom lane, Brood was quite happy to put down another web, force out the second sentry ward, because Net has already used both sentries, and look at this, he's got none. ROTK has, basically he knows where the sentries are, more or less. That's one of those clever things as a Brood, is to figure out where the sentries are, so you know where you can plant your next web, which is why he cut down those trees over on the right side. So, really smart play by Brood, forces both sentries to be used, and now the wave is being pushed so far that he can just safely get XP and even farm. This is going to force Shadow Demon into using this pull here, but Brood is going to get level 2, level 3, as well as a bit of creep kills here. And we are seeing MUFC struggling a bit there. It's going to come down to Ling on this Enchantress. His first smoke ganks, whether he goes for kills or towers, probably wants to go try to get both, get a kill and transition to a tower push. Is going to be crucial for MUFC to catch up.
It's going to be hard, though. Look at DK's lineup. They have a lot of anti-push. The Shadow Shaman on that support role, but even the level 2 Ether Shock, pretty strong. Oh, middle lane, Templar Assassin in trouble. No points in Meld, and there aren't. So actually, there is a pair of Sentry Ward. Would not save him anyway, and Nick is going to go down. Well, gods, you said that he would have trouble in this lane. Not sure we expect to see a first blood that early, but I mean, it's the power of Venomancer Rubik. They have so much disable. They've got the double damage over time, so Refraction really isn't going to do a whole lot for you in these prolonged chases, and it sounds like Godz is just tooting his air horn in the back, but either way, Templar goes down, and that's a lane 1 for DK. The bottom lane, they're doing well. Top lane, it appears to be complete free farm for Burning. 14 and 7. Actually, this Enchantress is farming quite well, so that's something, but you don't pick Enchantress to farm, you do pick her for those ganks and those tower pushes.
Yeah, and Long DD's using a couple of these creep pulls here. This is still okay. I mean, this is okay, not looking to put a huge amount of pressure on Invoker, but by being in fog, using the pulls, and basically Invoker not knowing when Shadow Shaman's going to come out, the Invoker plays a lot safer.
Disruption to start, Soul Catcher to follow, but no Sentry Wards, and RTK is going to walk away. This is the difference between that Invoker and the Broodmother. Although TFG has not been ganked, if he is ganked, especially by 3 heroes, he's not getting away, whereas this Broodmother can do so. Yeah. So, a failed opportunity there for MUFC. Waste some farm time for the Enchantress. And it goes back to what you pointed out. The early use of these Sentry Wards, I feel it's a blunder to drop both at once. You drop one maybe, but you got to save that second one for when you're committed. Because if they had the gank there with the Sentry Ward, might have been able to get the kill. But as a result, Brood is able to escape.
Yeah, and it's more just the ease of mind for Brood, knowing that she can just play more aggressive up in lane, because both those sentries have now expired. They're going to have to bring more out if they want to gank or push bottom lane, unless they're just happy to just go brute force the tower and not worry about killing the Brood. But for the most part, Brood is just going to be having a pretty good time there. Top lane Invoker and Shadow Shaman trading hits a bit. TFG actually getting slightly better off of that one for the start of things, and now they're looking to return fire, but he's pretty fast, he's pretty mobile, and Venomancer's come in through the river. Gale's going to hit, and this could be the end of TFG. Like you say, there is no escaping. Down goes the Invoker and Venomancer. Nice movement around the map. First getting the Templar Assassin mid, and now just comes top, gets another kill. Radiant don't have any vision up at this point. I don't know if they didn't roll out with Observer Ward, but I don't think they've actually had any I mean, they didn't block the pull, so I don't think they actually had any obs to start things off with here. Maybe just relying on doing well enough in lanes that they didn't need those Observer Wards. But this Veno is causing a lot of problems and showing why you buy Observer Wards at the start.
Yeah, really not sure why TFG went for the Exhort build in the off lane, especially once he saw how DK was laning. As soon as you see that Brood bottom, you know there's going to be a tri-lane, but here we go, Templar Assassin. They diver mid, but look at the damage onto Zippo. Telekinesis throwing Nick up in the air. Nick continue to chase Sunstrike. It's going to hit. Not enough damage, though. Nick dropping low. He goes into Meld, and out of mana is Super, so I think Nick may just survive. Look how low he is, though. Oh, he's going to use Refraction. Meld as well. Try to get the right clicks in. Super has one more Telekinesis. No, he's not going to use it, and Nick gets the kill. Well, if there's ever a hero that can turn a fight around when you least expect it, it is definitely Templar Assassin. 100 health, like 80 mana, and she gets a kill. and gets away in a 2v1.
That is just the raw skill. I mentioned that during the draft. MUFC, as far as raw skill goes, they are some of the best players in Asia. They have incredible skill, and right there, Nick really showing it. The Venomancer actually had a sentry ward that they wanted to use to kill him, but the Venomancer couldn't come back in and plant them because of the creeps were on him. He would have died. So Nick, just knowing that he could sit in that meld, not have the Venomancer use his sentry ward, and then just turn things around, took out Super. That was incredible, and MUFC are putting on pressure. They're getting this bottom T1 tower with the Enchantress. They didn't get the kill, but they may now. They've got a sentry ward, and this could be the end of ROTK. A lot of damage. The Sunstrike going to come in, not going to land, but Enchantress. Last hit going to her. They shouldn't be able to get this Tier 2 tower, but they're going to back off with a kill, a tower, and MUFC. That is what they needed. Invoker's still having a tough time at top, but I feel they are in a much better position now.
They are, and well, Sharky is farming like an absolute champ. He is keeping the pace with Burning, and Burning's had free farm. Sure, Sharky has as well, but keeping pace with Burning, like you said, it does require a lot of skill. 36 CS, only 7 minutes into the game. Great farm from him. He's almost level 7, and that's when Night Stalker really gets out of hand. We saw a level 3 Void with Soul Catcher, did about 2/3 of Broodmother's health and damage instantly. And you throw that nuke onto any of these other heroes, they're going to die faster. Now, the one thing that MUC will have to be careful about, they have a lineup that wants to tower dive, that wants to be aggressive, but if you ever mess up diving against the Panda, against the Disables, and the counter gank of DK, the Shadow Shaman's Disables, the Venomous Gale, a great counter gank spell, DK is going to heavily punish you. Wow, Zippo, big dive mid, Sunstrike flashing through, they're going to get the kill, they're just, the ganks on Nick are just not working out now, and well, another mistake by DK, and MUFC is, I mean, they're right back in this game. They were a bit behind, the lanes look bad for them, but they're coming back in a big way in the mid game, and a lot of it is just Nick playing well and DK underestimating the power of that Templar Assassin up top. TFG shackled up to start, and now he's held in place. Burning the clap to follow. Panda ult used just for a solo kill. They will get it, but nonetheless, you know, the early kill. They're gonna look to push this tower. The pressure continuing on the bottom lane. MUFC looking for that trade. DD picked up on Nick, and I gotta say, it feels pretty even right now, Godz.
Yeah, absolutely. MUFC not going to be able to defend this top tower easily. Invoker's keeping back top, but I feel with just the Invoker, they're going to probably lose this tower. Bottom lane, Nightstalker being very aggressive on ROTK, trying to keep him as far away as possible. Brood is actually currently sitting itemless with just 800 gold. Could buy that Soul Ring now, but just 10 CS with the death. ROTK, not the best time at bottom lane. We'll have to see whether or not DK can get this top tier 1 tower, and it looks like they will. TFG is going to go in, look for the tower.
They want Nick again. The Gale's going to miss, and are they really going to dive this? No. DK have learned their lesson. They will back off. They had to play that. It's great to see when teams, you know, sort of adjust their play. Like, okay, we're not diving you this time. We've learned our lesson from the last time around. And it was a very smart decision, because guess who's smoked up, waiting in the wings? It's Lane with a Dark Troll Warlord. Nick thrown back by telekinesis, but the net holding Super in place. The Sunstrike flies in. Super dropping low. He will go down with the DD. Nick only taking about 3 auto attacks for that one. And Sharky is not even ganky right now. He's just farming, and still MUFC finding the kills.
Yeah, MUFC really using this Templar Assassin really well. I mean, you can get kills without even having that Blink Dagger, and they're showing how it's done. Just catching DK, maybe not used to versing this hero in Dota 2 as of yet. It is a fairly new addition, and so far it has been the one hero to cause them the most problems. I mean, their laning states, they had the strong lanes. They should have been winning this top and middle lane. They should do all right at bottom, but MUFC taken by surprise, and this is something which is going to be a bit of a problem. I mean, Enchantress level 7 has the Arcane Boots, getting a decent amount of farm. All these MUFC heroes getting farmed, and Nick is very close to his Blink Dagger. It looks like he is rushing it, sitting on 1900 gold now. When that comes into play, we're going to see some of these heroes, Rubik, Veno, Shadow Shaman, possibly just melt to the aggression of MUFC.
You know, guys, keep in mind, it turns out it was a bug that you could blink while you're taking auto attacks with refraction up. That has been patched out, although I don't think it's in this version. It's only in the test client right now, but after this match or in the future days, it will be patched out. So I believe he will be able to blink even if he's taking some damage, as long as, or even if he's taking auto attacks, as long as refraction is up. It's a big difference, because otherwise, if you ever get galed or auto attack once, the Blink Dagger is only going to be really useful offensively. With all the damage over time DK has, mainly from the Venomancer, it's pretty hard to use the Blink to try and escape. You can try and meld and then do it. So there are some shenanigans available for Nick. But yeah, that early Blink, I mean, then MUFC have some great initiation. The traps already have really big range. You can place them very far away. Then the Night Stalker's ability to dive, a lot of slows as well for MUFC. And speaking of that aggression, they're looking to go mid, but DK smoked up. They want to bait this one out. Bernie, does he have a TP? He does, but no ultimate for 20 seconds. Oh, if DK try and fight this, it could go poorly. Oh, LogDD has the ultimate. And I'm having a connection problem, Gods. I'm not sure if that's just me.
With Dota, no, I think it's just you. I'm still in for now, so you may just have to quickly reconnect. They have gone in fact, as it looks like Venomancer's Zipper will drop.
Oh, LDD running away. He eats the urn. He's silenced up. Panda ult is used. Nick on the back foot. Nick will go down to that immolation damage, and there's the power of the counter gank for the Panda. We talked about it earlier in this game. They want Sharky as well. Looks like they're going to get him. Sharky very fast, but this Panda can keep the pace. One more boulder toss and an auto attack should do the trick. No, the Panda dispels. Bernie goes back to the standard Brewmaster form. Sharky wants the TP away. Will Bernie get the clap? Oh, just a split second late. If he had guessed that TP, he could have gotten it. With all that action, RTK finds an opportunity bottom, getting the push going. And this is where MUFC may start to have issues, because they don't have that anti-push. The only way to deal with this Brood is to gank her. They can't just send a hero like Sandkane 1v1 to deal with her in lane. Shadow Demon's going to TP in, but as soon as Brood realizes he's alone, she may look to go continue the push. And RTK making his presence felt here.
Yeah, RTK is going to keep chipping away at this tower. Here comes Templar Assassin. Not a hero that does have a little bit of AoE. With the Psyblades, you can take down a lot of Spiderlings at once, so that can force the Spiderlings back. Otherwise, a lot of gold can go in Templar. They've gone in at mid. Long DD. Sunstrike will come in, not going to even be near the Night Stalker, picking up that kill. Long DD, very far up in lane there. I think he was expecting more heroes to be bottom, defending this tier 1 tower, which does get denied by Nick. So Brood tower goes down. It does get denied. I mean, just getting that tower down is a bit more map control for DK. One less tower that MUFC can TP to back each other up with, but it's still a nice for MUFC that they did manage to deny. And we will see Super and Veno, Super and Zippo going to smoke and head towards bottom. Look for another kill at bottom.
RTK gets caught out. He will go down. This Broodmother, I mean, they've been very effective with ganking her. Normally, you don't see this working unless you keep the pressure up constantly. I mean, this Brood is level 8. She's got some level. She doesn't have the most items in the world. But, you know, MUFC just so much damage, and I gotta say, it really comes down to Ling. You said he's gotta be effective, and every time he sets up a gank, aside from that first gank, he's gotten kills for his team. Oh, middle lane telekinesis onto Sharky. Gale to follow. The ult is used. Defensive disruption might have been the wrong decision here. Sharky held in place by the wards. He's trapped up and he can't work his way out. Uses the wand. He's finally right-clicking down the correct ward. Not going to be a time. He will die. A lot of heroes dropping low. Super. One more imp. It will do the trick. And nice job by Ling walking backwards to maximize that damage. 3 heroes die for DK. It was a very expensive Night Stalker kill. And now MUFC going to look to push that middle lane.
And they only just got that Night Stalker kill. Great backup from MUFC, and they're outmaneuvering DK right now. I mean, the kill on bottom lane, which wasted the smoke from Ben and Shadow Sharp, and now they're counter gank at mid, and they're going to get T1 tower to this. Great trade for them. Burning, he's still farming away at top. I mean, this is what he does best, farm, but with a hero like Brewmaster, you need to come get involved, and getting involved at mid. MUFC, they're going on long DD. Nick is just going to melt him. A couple right clicks will be the end, and there we go. Nick gets another kill. He's on a dominating streak. Zippo is going to be the next target. Burning has TP'd in now. He's got the ultimate up, clap, and is there going to be an ulti? Enchantress, look at the big fade bolt, takes out both. Double kills on Templar Assassin and Enchantress, although Templar Assassin did get a lot of kills there himself, so bit of an even trade. DK lose their tower though, and they do pick up some key kills, only losing their supports in the meantime.
The big thing to look at right now is Burning's ult is back up, and it seems like every time his ult is up, DK get a couple kills, they turn things around. When the ult's down, that's where you see MUFC striking back. So as long as the ult's up, it's similar to having that Tidehunter Ravage. Burning is going to feel safe, applying some pressure on the middle lane, which of course is going to free up RTK. Speaking of RTK, he's got Gloves of Haste, no boots on him, 1,400 gold in the bank. Is he going for a Midas? I guess it's probably likely to be Treads, but the fact that he hasn't built them yet is rather unusual, so we'll see where he goes from here. Maybe just trying to decide what he wants. Wards are dropped mid. Looks like they're going to pressure this tower. I mean, it would be incredibly late Midas, but either way. The tower will go down. Burning gets the last hit, and now he's just about got his Blink Dagger to answer back that. So the Templar Assassins, and well, I think Burnings has a lot more potential to be a game breaker here because of that great initiation he has.
Midas is still a possibility on the Brew. It's something that I think it's Ferrari who does it with ING. He almost always goes Midas, even if he's suicide lane. Okay, he's got it already. Okay, I was about to say if he only had 500 gold without the Midas hit, it wouldn't be the best idea. But he's already finished it, so this is okay time. And they're going in for the gank at bottom lane. They're not going to get the initiation. TP's coming in, actually gets cancelled because DK are here with numbers. And there we go, burning level 11, level 2 ulti. He's about to have a blink dagger. He doesn't have it yet. But it's just sort of the fear of having the ulti going to prevent MUFC from engaging in, especially because all their engages, they're sort of melee engages. I mean, Night Stalker as well as Templar Assassin will just get Cyclone disabled and they can't really just run in. Sure, you can silence the Brewmaster, but then there's just the other heroes to worry about, the Shadow Shaman as well as the Rubik.
Yeah, it seems like DK are starting to get a little map control. Ward plays bottom. Wow, great D-Ward there. Where's the Sentry? Oh, maybe looking for the Broodmother with that one. But either way, they are able to knock that out, and that's a big ward to take down. If DK have that ward up, it means Broodmother can safely farm the enemy jungle at all 3 of these camps, as we have a quick pause here from Sharky, without actually having to worry about getting ganked, aside from smokes, which MUFC have been pretty effective with so far, I have to say. But yeah, our gold graph is broken, guys, so that's why I'm not really showing it. I haven't been reading chat, but I'm sure there are some people wanting to see it. Unfortunately, gold graph not working. You'd expect, I think we should see a bit of an advantage here for MUFC. Yeah, everyone on DK is getting MUFC is getting pretty good farm. Even the Shadow Demon's got 37. Now, a lot of that will be Spider Lane, so it's a bit misleading in that regard. But yeah, I believe MUFC have at least a couple thousand gold advantage. That would be my guess.
Looking at something I never really look at, looking at the gold per minute, I don't like this stat, but it's a stat that is there, and when you don't have a gold graph, it is somewhat relevant. I mean, Burning is actually leading the way. He is ridiculously farmed.
Only slightly. If you look at it,
okay, that's true.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Templar Assassin is they're just behind. Yeah, they're just behind. And then the rest of DK, though, DK have the additional tower. They've taken down 3 tier 1 towers where MUFC have only taken 2 towers. So there's a slight edge there. I feel this game is pretty much neck and neck in terms of actual, items and levels between the 2 teams. It is not much separating them right now. MUFC had this slight level advantage. But as far as actual gold and farm goes, I feel that DK are not that far behind.
Well, they also have a Midas on the Broodmother, so, you know, the one nice... I called it a late Midas, because normally when you get Midas, it's going to take you about 18 minutes for it to fully pay off for itself. Oh, Invoker gets a kill mid. 4 heroes there going on to Rubik, and, you know, a good kill for DK, not the end of the world. But yeah, this early Midas, when you get it early, it's going to take you until about that 25-30 minute mark, if you get it within that 5 to 10 minute timing, before it's fully paid for itself. Of course, you get a bit of attack speed from it. Action bottom lane, they want Nick, but they're not going to get him. Easy blink away for him. And again, that's something that will be changed to the next patch. You will not be able to blink, even if you block the damage, if someone targets you, with whether it's a nuke or an auto attack. So. Yeah, but this will allow RTK to catch up, and maybe that's the goal here, because he was behind a bit bottom lane. He got some levels, but he's getting ganked a lot, not really having much of a chance to farm. And if the game goes long enough, then it's going to make its presence felt.
Yeah, no, I'd agree on that. And, for now, DK seem to be just sitting back. They've got the Brewmaster ultimate. This thing you talked about, whenever they have the Brewmaster ultimate, they seem to do better with these fights. And for the moment, they're not looking to force them. Burning's just on the top lane at the moment, still farming. It's not really, I wouldn't say farming's the right word to describe it. He's just there. He needs to keep these lanes pushed out. They don't want to go for a 5-man sort of mid or try force a fight with a smoke when the top lane is pushing in on them. Their plan becomes a lot more obvious because they're not defending the top lane, as well as potentially losing a tier 1 tower. So he pushes out the lane, he'll go join up with the team, then they'll look for either a smoke gank or just to force a fight in middle or one of the side lanes, or even around Roshan. Roshan's always an option as well.
Yeah, well, speaking of forcing fights, one other reason we might see that might explain why MUFC has not been aggressive recently. First of all, of course, is the Panda ultimate. We've talked about that one a lot. It's also the fact that it's still that first daytime, or that second daytime. So MUFC may be waiting for the second night to get more aggressive, maybe looking for some core items. And, well, speaking of those items, look at Sharky. He's actually quite farmed. Drum of Endurance, Herb of Shadows, Point Booster, and Power Treads. I actually like this build a lot because it's got such a nice build-up to it. The one thing I'll say is he's not going to have a big item like a BKB, or maybe even an Aghanims anytime too soon because he's gone for these cheap items. So when you go for this build, you want to get early kills, you want to apply a lot of pressure, be active in fights. If you want to farm, you're better off getting that big item that has a longer build-up. So we'll see if he can take full advantage, but for now he's got a lot of stats, and he is going to be an absolute beast to try and bring down in these team fights. 4 heroes smoked up for DK. maybe looking to go into Roshan. No, they're going for a gank. No, they're going into Roshan. It's going to be a tier 1 trade for Roshan from the looks of it. Sunstrike spots it out, but MUFC are halfway across the world, and they're not even going to contest this. They are just going to go for the push. No, they are going to contest it. A couple of TPs in bottom, but they are nowhere near being there in time.
Not a chance.
No way. Early Medallion secures that one.
And that, for MUFC, I mean, that's a 5-man TP bottom. That was not the right decision there. They even had the vision there to see how fast Roshan was dying, but they're going to engage on in. It's Nightstalker in the front line. He is a tanky big force there. And Invoker, Chaos Meteor, spot on, wipes out the Aegis on Brewmaster. He's going to respawn and probably want to try pop the ultimate right away. He gets vanished up. Is there going to be a disable lockdown preventing it? There's not at the moment. Brewmaster trying to go on this Templar Assassin from behind. The Venom ultimate doing a lot of damage over time. ROTK is being purged up in the backline. Nightstalker just thrown into the air, and that's a great way to deal with the Nightstalker. Enchantress taking too much damage to heal off. Does go down, but DK have lost 4 only for an Enchantress. Brewmaster could be the 5th kill here. He's got the blink. He needs to do so quickly. Not going to. The 5th kill. MUFC knew what they were doing coming bottom. They felt they had the stronger team fight, even in a 5v6 scenario, and they win a convincing team fight. Wow, what a massive... I don't even feel they have the slightly... I mean, they don't even have the better team fight.
No,
the one thing
not
that
at
they
all.
do have is the slightly tankier lineup. I mean, these support heroes like Veno, Rubik, and Shadow Shaman do melt very quickly, and Brood doesn't have the BKB yet.
2 things I noticed in that fight. The biggest thing that happened there, Sharky got a silence off on Panda, and I mean, normally Panda is tanky, but up against Templar Assassin, he just melted. I mean, the right clicks of the Night Stalker, as well as the Templar Assassin's meld, the refraction damage, having a Mithril Hammer up, he just couldn't survive, and that initial silence killing him off. Sure, he's got the Aegis, but like you said, you know, the support heroes are not long for this world. They all get picked off. The other thing that was really impressive there, Ling did a lot of damage with his impetus. Of course, you know, it's the Night Stalker and Templar Assassin who are going to get most of the glory of this game, but Ling is doing big damage, very reminiscent of Puppy's Enchantress, where he often will not just be a ganker, a support hero, but often a big DPS dealer. And it's one of the main differences between Enchantress and Chen, is that she does bring a bit of extra DPS to the table.
Yeah, and that single target DPS is sort of what MUFC's strategy is built around, with the Night Stalker, the Templar Assassin, the utilities coming from the Invoker. He provided a bit of AoE, but the AoE was more... The Chaos Meteor meant, okay, DK, you guys have to run. You can't just go engage. You can't just go basically counter the big team fight coming from MUFC by running in and fighting force with force. It forced them back, and it forced Brewmaster just to go down without using his Aegis for any benefit. And then from there, the fight was so scrappy, and that's what works in MUFC's favor with these single target heroes. They don't want a big grouped up DK squad. They want them completely spread out.
You know, it's also having a Broodmother on the team. Broodmother wants to be pressuring that bottom lane. She doesn't want to try and force a team fight. She can't really bring much to the table, especially with this early Midas. MUFC take advantage of that fact, and they're not just going to go for 1. They want 2 towers. With Panda ult down for 10 more seconds, this tower is dead. The glyph has already been used. The split push going in bottom, and RTK does knock down the tier 2, so not a bad trade, but they still lose 2 towers for 1. And it looks like Broodmother is going to continue. RTK should continue to push here, draw some heroes back from MUFC. There you go, 1 TP to start. It is Templar Assassin. She can clear off these creeps and stop the push, but it means MUFC are not going to try and threaten for high ground. They didn't get an aggressive hill ward up, but they got one here in the jungle, and maybe they'll look to come back in, faint like they're leaving, and then turn around and engage again. Is there a smoke up? There are 2 smokes on lane. This could be an opening here as they spot out Zippo. The ward does see him. Is MUFC actually going to go? No. Venomance or Plague Ward scouting things out. And yeah, it seems like MUFC are just content to farm for the moment, off the backs of this additional map control they've secured.
Yeah, and DK will have that BKB up on the Brood now. He's got enough gold for it. I don't think he's going to finish off those trades. He really needs that BKB so he can actually do a bit of damage. I mean, the Purge, he got Purge last fight, will still go through the BKB. It'll give him some survivability. There's a lot of right-click damage coming from Templar Assassin, even from the Invoker with the Forward Spirits, which he can bring out in these team fights, but still, BKB is going to be essential, as we will see DK just looking for some way to stay alive. They've got the Mecha, Vitality Boost are actually the go-to item for Zippo. Any survivability they can get is basically what they have to get, the cheapest survivability possible. Burning's close to an Aghanim Scepter, and maybe around that time he'll be level 16, and that's when DK, really that sort of 5-minute opening is going to be where they have to sort of get far ahead or at least get a Rax, make something happen, because the longer this goes, I've got to start feeling that DK may get taken out of this game.
Yeah, and this, this is it's very reminiscent of that previous match for Pro Dota 2 between MUFC and DK. Burning played Panda. Whenever he had his ult up in the early game, they won fights. When he didn't have his ult, they lost those fights. And then when the game got late, he had gone for very tanky items, Aghanims to start. It's a common Panda item. It's a great one to have. And then he went for BKB, and I think it was to deal with the Night Stalker silence in that game as well. And ultimately, that Night Stalker got a Basher, maybe even an Abyssal Blade, I think, by the very end of the game. And there was just no right click for DK. There was no late game damage. And, the Brood, it's nice in theory, but even with the BKB, Demonic Purge removes that ultimate. So Brood's not really going to be able to tank in these fights, and especially against Templar Assassin. It's so much burst damage. I just don't see Brood really surviving. I think, at best, she might draw a couple of extra spells, survive a bit longer. But to me, DK have to make something happen with these next few Panda ultimates. If they just trade farm, just go for the split push. Oh, big engagement. They won Sharky. They're going to pick him off. It's an important kill. But meanwhile, RTK is forced to run away on the bottom lane. Trap flying in. Blinking. Look at RTK just melt. But the misses, all the attacks are missing. Nick is going to get that kill. Venomancer going out. Refraction not going to do much. Telekinesis holding Nick up into the air. Chase continues on to Zippo. Zippo slowed down by the trap. Cannot get away. And Nick is just an absolute force in this fight. Long DD comes in from the back lines, but with the BKB up on Nick, just doesn't have an opening. Super using that Fade Bolt. Nick's going to go invis with Meld, and then he's going to look to run away. There's a Hex Shackle to fail, but to follow. No, Deafening Blast by TFG. A nice Ice Wall, spreading them out. Nick gets the Refraction off again, and look at Long DD, especially with that Medallion up, just melting instantly. And now Burning, once the TFG looks like he might get them. So it's going to be a 3-for-4 if TFG goes down, which it looks like he will. And they did use the Panda, but still, it's a decent fight for DK. It felt like it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, that was... I mean, that's about as good as they're going to get at this point, and that went fairly well for them. They lost... I mean, they lose those Twishy supports. It's going to happen. The BKB now being up on Templar Assassin just allows her to take down those heroes so quickly. They can't do anything to escape. And as soon as Templar Assassin gets some kind of DPS, whether it's a Desolator next, those heroes are going to die even quicker. So they need to get some more survivability up. We're going to see 4 staffs coming by the looks of things on heroes like Rubik, which is what you need against Templar Assassin to get away. If she blinks on you, force immediately, unless you can actually disable her, prevent her from using that BKB. So for now, DK, I mean, they still have their options. I feel even if it does go a bit later, as long as they're spending their time wisely farming at the moment, I mean, Brood can take this sort of to late game. They've got the sort of, I don't know about mobility of these support heroes, but they can at least kite the Brood, kite the Templar Assassin, kite the Night Stalker around. They've got a couple of disables. They just need some 4 staffs and maybe a Blink Dagger on heroes like Shadow Shaman, and we'll even see Venomancer. I mean, what's he going to go for? Probably just some more survivability, but even a 4 staff on him wouldn't be all that bad.
Well, here's my concern for DK is I just don't know how they deal with the BKBs except trying to run away. Yeah. Whereas if you look at DK's own lineup, they can't really... The BKBs are not enough. I mean, Burning, even if he gets one, it'll help him deal with the silence. It's not going to help him in Ultimate form. Broodmother's BKB completely countered by that Demonic Purge. Sure, it means she won't take magical damage, but it doesn't matter. It's the physical damage that's killing her off. The Templar Assassin melting her down with that meld as well as the auto attack tower. And I feel like if Sharky gets up a BKB, maybe a Basher, which was his build of choice the last time these two teams faced off, I don't know what DK can do to answer that. So, I mean, you're right, they can look to farm. They definitely have a lineup that can win big engagements, and if they do, they can push. They have Brood, they have the Shadow Shaman, they have the Venomancer. But I don't think they can just trade farm. To me, that is a recipe for a loss. Eventually, MUFC are going to get too big. They have the better right-click DPS, and we haven't really talked about Enchantress or Invoker recently, but these two hit very hard as well. There's an Aghanims up on Enchantress. Invoker has a 4-staff as well as an Ultimate Orb. He's not too far off, to be honest, from a sight device. Maybe about 5 minutes away. Or not 5 minutes, 8 minutes away or so. I'll TP in on the bottom lane. Are they going to make a go on Nick? Nope, Burning just going to try and ward him off. 3 heroes rotate in, and, well, the split push continues for MUFC. Up on the top lane, it's TFG applying the pressure.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, you kind of hit it spot on when you look at the Enchantress and Invoker as well. All 5 of these MUFC heroes are really fun. This is just 28 minutes in. Yeah, he's going to have a 4-staff in the next couple of minutes, probably, because right now MUFC is sitting back playing this farming game. So having a 4-staff on the Shadow Demon just gives even more survivability to this Radiant team, and DK just aren't getting the same sort of item progression on their squad, I feel.
And you know, I think it goes back to the. I mean, it's first of all the Panda ultimate. They're very reliant on it, and it also is those squishy supports. They can't just go and farm on their own. Compare that to MUFC. Templar can farm on her own. Even the Enchantress is quite tanky. Of course, the Night Stalker very safe to farm on his own, and the Invoker with the Force Stab. So it just seems like it's easier for them to farm on their own, so they're getting a lot more out of it. Aside from that, I mean, to me, that's the biggest difference right now. I mean, even now, just look at how DK are playing. They're 3-man farming the stacked Ancients. Sure, Ancients give a lot of gold, but this is normally something you want 1 or 2 heroes to farm, not 3+.
Yeah, and that's going to be the problem here, as we will see MUFC. I mean, it gets to a point where soon they can just go look to make something happen here. They're gonna go for some additional BKBs, probably with Nightstalk with an Ogre Club. Even Enchantress can afford going for a BKB on their side here.
Oh,
and
that would be
gonna
scary.
Be the Invoker.
If that Enchantress gets a BKB, I mean, they can't afford to focus her, right? Because they need to kill the Templar. Yeah. They gotta kill the Night Stalker off. Not to mention the Invoker. I mean, these 3 are the core heroes. But that's where Enchantress might get an ultra kill, you know, in the back lines while you're expecting other heroes to be the ones getting the kills. DK on the back foot, and, you know, 4 heroes grouped up mid, but they're still getting someone farming bottom. So it's a trade. RTK with the Midas and the BKB. He's got 2,400 gold in the bank. What do you go for if you're this Brood? Do you maybe consider something like the Basher we saw at the ehome series? Would you do something unconventional, or do you think something like a Mantis style and Orchid is the more viable choice here?
I think Basher has to come into it at some point. It's just whether or not it's the next item. Definitely, Orchid at this point is not going to do anything. I'd be very surprised. I think something like a Yasha into I think it was literally Yasha into Basher. Maybe even a full Mantis style would be okay to get rid of the silence, to get rid of some of those, just sort of create some additional confusion to make it harder to get purged. But Basher will come in as a late game item for this Brood without a doubt, as a way of shutting down the Templar Assassin and Night Stalker and all these BKBs. But I don't know if Brood has enough attack speed, which is where a Yasha or a potential Butterfly comes in before that Basher gets brought. But that's why DK want to take this later, because Brood is just too underfarmed to actually fight any of these heroes. But like you said, the later this goes, it does still favor MUFC.
Well, we're getting to that point where the Midas will just about have paid for itself. She got it around 15, 16 minutes, and it's now 31, so in the next 2 or 3 it will have fully paid for itself. And that's the point where, I mean, she also has the attack speed from it, so she's got a little bit more than you would otherwise see from just Tread's BKB, but it's not a whole lot. It's not a Hyperstone. It's definitely not a Yasha or anything like that. So, well, RTK trying to hold off the push top, and TFG, MUFC just continue to slow roll this, split pushing all the lanes, not committing to any fights, and Desolator up on Templar stats, and they're getting up some big items. You know, we talked about even the Enchantress eventually may have a BKB. She's got 1,000 gold in the bank. Night Stalker as well. He's got an Ogre Club, 1,000 gold in the bank for him. So only about 1,500 away or so from that BKB. Yeah, it's looking good for MUFC. 4 staff up on Shadow Demon. Even Shadow Demon is safely split farming right now. I don't know what you do if you're DK. I mean, maybe you need to go for a complexity style smoke gank, something to just break out of this stalemate. Because, well, it's not really a stalemate though. It feels like a slow but steady decline for them.
Yeah, and the one thing that DK do have going for them, if they're on the raiding side, this would be MUFC taking pretty much a free Roshan and then taking down these towers, just going for a bit of a split push with the safe Aegis in their hands. It's DK on the dire side. They don't really want to go for Aegis themselves unless there's a clear opening where they see 2 or 3 heroes maybe at the top lane without MUFC having any towers nearby Roshan to TP to. That's hard to defend, but DK can defend that Roshan. They've got their tier 2 middle tower still up, and they've got some decent sort of map control in a ways. I mean, they've got, well, actually, they don't currently have much vision up in terms of wards, but just as for, they've got the Venomancer wards, and they've got constant vision of where these MUFC heroes are farming, so they're not in too much danger. They are looking for a Gengar top. Blink Dagger on Shadow Shaman. They go in. Invoker's got no backup. He should drop here. The Brood right-click damage. He's not actually right-clicking.
Wow, he's not dead. Oh, he's going to escape. Oh my goodness, they don't have detection. Wow, TFG is tanky, and this is where MUFC shines. Yeah, I think he was right-clicking.
RTK wasn't right-clicking him for a lot of that time. I think because the wards were actually kind of blocking the sort of the clicking in a way. The wards made it hard to actually click on the Invoker there. So RTK got a bit blocked or just misclicked there, and they didn't do as much damage as I thought they should have.
Well, and now the Shadow Shaman out of mana, he doesn't have the wards. And DK really need that. That's a big component of their team's damage, their defensive capabilities. Burning has the Vlads up, so I mean, this is the build he's gone for before. I think he actually went for BKB after the Vlads in the last game, so it's looking identical. He's going to really help the Broodmother. If Burning stays alive, which he's almost certain to do so, He will be able to give her that additional lifesteal. I just give her a bit of armor for the whole team. They want to kill bottom lane, blink in, but Nick is going to turn around immediately with that BKB, trying to burst long DD down, and look at the damage from Nick. Sunstrike flying in, meanwhile going for a kill on Zippo. They're going to get Zippo, but maybe at the cost of Nick. No detection again for DK. Trying to get Templar without detection. Oh man, or maybe they had it and Shadow Shaman died. Either way, Super taking a lot of damage. He stole Refraction, but now he's silenced, in a lot of trouble. 4 staff away. Will it be enough? It will not. And ROTK doing the right click. Where's that Shadow Demon Purge? They really needed to deal with him. They're not getting it off. The Purge was already used. ROTK will take a fall though. And now with Burning's ult out, it looks like he's going to get caught out too. Imp's doing a lot of damage. Sunstrike flying in. Bernie will drop one more. Imp should do the trick. Yeah, big Imp. Lane with the triple kill. I'm feeling like a prophet right now because I thought that might happen in the late game. And well, now MUFC can look to go for that Roshan. Maybe go for a push if they want to. A big win for them. It was a sloppy fight to say the least, but they come out ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Brood did do a bit of damage there. He's got the Eagle Song up now. Butterfly will be coming a bit later, but MUFC still do come out on top now. They've got the Sheep Stick on Invoker. They've just got a lot of additional disable. Losing the Templar Assassin hurt them there, but it does sort of increase their lead, or while buying DK a bit more time, but time is not something that is going to help DK. They can get a few more items up. They're going to have a Ghost Scepter on heroes like Venomancer, but for the most part, they don't have heroes who will scale all that well into this late game. I mean, Invoker, Enchantress. Enchantress is actually not the best late game hero. But with this kind of items and with these squishy die heroes, these impetuses, they really hurt. I mean, that last impetus on the Rubik, when Rubik forced away, did about half his HP. It did 400 to 500 damage.
Right, again, this is a hero that's not being focused. I mean, she's in the back line, she's got really long attack range, and if you focus her, that means you're not dealing with the other heroes, so it's the strength of MUFC's lineup. If they get that early start, if they get the good lead, then they're going to have the map control to farm, because all these heroes are very mobile, very survivable, especially with the early farming levels. And it feels like DK are just slowly but steadily beat out maneuvered here. And MUFC, it hasn't been a perfect play by them, but they haven't made any big blunders. And that's really what DK need at this point. They need MUFC to really overcommit to a fight. Maybe go for Roshan and get smoke ganked or caught out of position. It's going to be a slow and steady push mid. 5 heroes grouped up. Actually, might not be that slow because everyone is bearing down on the tower. Lane has a haste. Mechanism and Aghanims as well. So, oh, he just built a mechanism from the looks of it. 4 staff in. They want the Venomancer, Soul Catcher, as well as Disruption. Sunstrike on top. Zippo, actually, it's narrowly going to miss him. Sheep up on Net, but Net is going to be A-okay. And now Long DD needs to blink away. He's got 5 seconds to go. No, he's going to be fine. Lane not going to chase that far. But with that tower down, MUFC can transition into Roshan, and it looks like they will be doing exactly that. No wards, though.
Yeah, no wards, and DK will spot this. Whether or not they make a plan, we'll have to wait and see. The forward spirits will spot DK leaving their base, and I think for the most part, this will be a hard fight for DK. Burning on the high ground, can blink on it. He's going to do just that. He gets bashed by Roshan. Disruption, the Sunstrike actually not landing. He pops the ultimate, I think a bit prematurely, because he's not actually on anyone except for the Enchantress. Enchantress, that's a hero they haven't been focusing in these last few fights. They will focus down here. The mech keeping Enchantress alive a lot longer, but it's not going well for DK. Zippo getting very low. The Ghost Scepter keeping him alive. Brewmaster, he takes out Shadow Demon though, 2 for 2 so far, and DK, they're still in this. They need to take out the Templar Assassin though, as well as Night Stalker, causing a lot of problems. He's the one they're going to go for. He's been cycloned up though, and now we could see DK in a bit of trouble with Brewmaster ultimate ending, but they've still got the DPS from Brood, as well as Brewmaster just right-clicking away, and Brood, the ultimate's back up. Down will go Invoker to one more right-click. Invoker, Ice Wall. What a time for a big Ice Wall. And that just secured them 2 kills, saved Invoker's life, and DK have to retreat with Burning TPing home. Massive Ice Wall from the Invoker there.
Yeah, Ice Wall. Templar got like 4 or 5 big auto attacks in, plus the meld. Buyback from ROTK. They really want to contest this Roshan, but they're not going to get there in time, I don't think. Look how fast it's dropping all the Mice armor. Sharky getting bashed almost constantly, but he will be able to run away. Aegis on the ground, blinking by Burning. He wanted to jack it. He was just a split second late. Oh, poor Burning. This is not where you want to be, sir. He gets locked out. He gets picked up. Nick, War Trap, double RTK, doing the right clicks, doing a lot of damage. The Dust, this time they have detection. Aegis is forced out, and the Night Stalker kill. A Panda buyback for this would not be the worst trade, especially if they can kill Nick again. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to, but the Gale is going to hit. Long DD blinks in. Shackle will be the second disable used here, and I think they're going to get Nick. Not a bad fight, all things considered. Buyback from Night Stalker. Looks like MUFC really want to fight, and Lane almost suicidally charging into 3, but it looks like RTK will be sheep. Invoker doesn't have a sight to Vice now. Look at Long DD just melting to those impetuses. Lane feels like the hard carry right now, doing so much damage in these fights. Sunstrike as well, Silence going on to Zippo. Zippo dropping low, earn charge, keeping him down, and he will drop there. After all is said and done, MUFC come out ahead. It could have been worse for DK. If Burning had jacked that Aegis, it might have been a very different fight.
That was I feel that was a risk DK have to take at this point. They're on the back foot, and things aren't going to change unless they take some big risks. And that was one they just had to go for. They're Burning, not quite on time. He almost got the Aegis, and now MUFC in a great position to maybe take a Rax here. And I mean, like you say, Ling is just, I mean, it's sort of showing. I mean, he's getting these kills. He is, in fact, acting as one of their main sources of damage. Sharky's just on the front lines, being a big tank and causing problems, but for the most part, the damage is coming from the Enchantress, the Templar Assassin, and even the Invoker to a lesser extent. So we'll see whether or not DK can defend this one, but I'd have to say this could be the end of their middle round.
Burning blinks in. He's silenced though, and he's getting right-clicked down. Wow, look at that damage. He will die. Now the chase goes the other way. Super dropping pretty low to the right clicks of Night Stalker. Look at Sharky, even when he's not doing the damage, he is tanking so much for his team. Oh, Force Staff away, the impetus is too much. Zippo will be the next one to fall. Ghost Scepter used, but it's only delayed inevitable. Nice hero block by Sharky, not that he needed it. And out comes the GG from DK. Pretty decisive victory for MUFC. A little sloppy at first, that first smoke gank failing on the bottom lane. You know, Broodmother looking like she was going to have a decent time, but went for the Midas, just didn't get as much farm as she would like, and DK take advantage. They take game 1 of this best out of 3. And godz, I gotta say, I feel like DK is just a lot more comfortable when they have that hard carry. You know, Burning is not by any means a bad Panda. It just seems like DK are not the type of team to really exploit a super aggressive mid-game lineup. It seems like they're better off having that late game insurance.
I think they were hoping the Brood pick worked out a lot better for them. I really thought it was, I think it was a pick that could have worked for them. Maybe they need to put the Brood at top. I mean, even in the 1v1 matchup, they could have ran a tri-lane bottom. The tri-lane, the problem would have been is that they have a Shadow Shaman, Venomancer. Well, Shadow Shaman, a hero that needs a bit of items and levels, which could have caused some problems if they had a tri-lane bottom. And the Enchantress can easily gank those heroes. That's why they didn't run a tri-lane bottom pretty much. But I feel they needed to have the Brood maybe in a slightly better matchup, and that game would have gone pretty well for them because there was nothing to really stop the Brood push.
I thought I felt like the matchup was okay. It was just those couple of ganks that worked out for Enchantress. I mean, Ling played really well. You know, it wasn't just Brood making mistakes or having a bad lane. It was also just Ling making plays for his team, setting up kills, and as well as the Templar Assassin mid. Those were the two main factors. It was lane on the Enchantress with those ganks, and then it was Nick on Templar Assassin, where several times DK dive mid with 2-on-1, 3-on-2 situations, and then they get 2 or 3 kills going the other way. That's going to do it for game 1, guys. This is MUFC versus DK. We'll be coming back to you soon with game number 2. Don't go anywhere. You won't want to miss this next game. This is the Beyond the Summit World Tour.